Hi all, good morning, and once again I'll welcome all of you to Agile Network India Day 2 events. We'll begin our Day 2 with Thiruvananthapuram chapter, which is a session talk on tips to make your Agile transformation successful by Varkesh Daniel. He's an enterprise Agile coach at Nissan Digital India LLP. I request Vargesh Daniel to come on microphone and camera.
Good morning, Nisha. Good morning, all of you. Thanks for joining this session. And I also thank ANI, the Agile Network India, for this great opportunity, to interact with professionals like you. Thanks, everyone. And my name is Varghese Daniel. I'm working with Nissan Digital and based out of Trivandrum. So today's session, we will spend some time to understand uh, we are all involved in agile transformation, right, activities or related initiatives. So today's session we will see maybe some of the tips, how to make fast track or how to help our agile transformation uh, go faster, right. Traditional organizations are designed to operate and withstand the disruption of waves, right? You have seen, I think the traditional organizations are the top, 100 organizations, Forbes top 100 organizations. If you're seeing, they are in the, in the industry, in the market for long, right? They are designed to operate with those disruptions. But today we are facing a lot of disruption from the market, right? Just by withstanding the disruptions may not be enough to become successful in today's market, today's world. We should be able to ride those disruptions, right? That is what we are seeing around us, right? We are seeing, the Tesla's market cap is, more than Ford's market cap. Or we are seeing Apple is becoming the biggest watchmaker in the world. So a whole lot of unexpected, things are happening around us, right? And we call this as a this new revolution. We call it as a digital age or digital revolution, right? Which is happening around us. And those companies which are able to capture the skill and bring in capability, they are able to invest in people and capabilities, they're going to be successful in today's world, right? The organizations which are able to reinvent themselves are going to be successful today. That's why we are seeing in all the majors. If you take the revenue of Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Google, that is more than the GDP of Japan, right? That's the situation where we are in, right? So you need to have the specific skills. Every organization will have to invest, will have to capture that new skills to be succeeding in this digital revolution. So what is agile transformation, right? Agile transformation is a new way of working. It's a process of changing an organization to thrive in this disruptive world. And this will enable an organization to be fast, to be flexible, to be collaborative, to be self-organized, self-managed in this fast changing world. And by following this way of working, new way of working, the organizations are going to be more customer centric. They're going to be able to deliver faster value to their customers. They're able to attract talents from the market. They're able to retain the talents within the organization. And overall, they're going to have better profits, better outcomes. That is what this transformation is going to help them with. It's basically moving into a new operating model, an agile operating model. That is what agile transformation is all about. And agile transformation is not just execution or not just software development. It transforms or it touches various aspects of an organization. I've just took 4 areas. There could be many other areas that you can think of. I've taken only the 4 areas. People. When we talk about people, the culture of organization getting changed by an agile transformation initiative, right? The way people work, the way people look at things, it's going to be different. The way leadership behaves, how leadership is managing the people, how the talent is attracted, how the talent is retained, what kind of talent management initiatives you are bringing in an organization, how the whole informal formal communication is going to happen in an organization. All those areas are going to be changed when an organization gets transformed into an agile way of working. Processes, you're looking at how initiatives are planned, how budget is planned, how budget is allocated, how funding is done, right? You may need to relook at how governance, measurement and governance is done for your initiatives or your projects, right? So relooking at the governance mechanism. The whole performance management in terms of people performance management or projects performance management, the outcome management, financial performance, everything has to be relooked at when you're working in an agile way. Technology is another major aspect, right? You need to invest on newer infrastructure, maybe cloud or those kind of areas. An evolving architecture, tech stack, your design and build environments, your deployment environments, release mechanisms. You need to relook at, and a lot of automation will have to come in. A lot of tools will have to come in. You need to have your components, your softwares or applications needs to talk to one another to reduce the manual interventions. So a lot of investment to happen in the technology area. And then structure, how your organization is structured, the size of teams, the reporting mechanisms, right? You may need to look at those functional silos into more of a network oriented way of working, right? The working agreements between the functions or departments will have to change, right? Uh, we may continue with our hierarchy, maybe a cut down, more flatter organization, cut down hierarchies, but we'll still have hierarchies to get stability, but we will still look at how we can more focus on our customers, a more customer centric approach. That is what to be part of the structure we need to look at. This is some of the aspects that an agile transformation is going to touch upon. Now, where are we with respect to agile transformation? The road for agile transformation is not an easy one, right? I think many of you have experienced. It's not an easy one. A survey, there's a reference from a survey conducted by the version 1. Everybody, if you ask any organization, they say, oh, we are all practicing agile. We are all, working in an agile way, or we have transformed into agile. But, most of these organizations are reaching a stage where they get into only practicing a methodology, or Scrum or a Kanban or an extreme programming. It's restricting themselves, or they are reaching a level of only their execution or software development transformation, right? It's not going beyond that, but we need to look at, when we say agile transformation, it is not just software development, it is not just execution, it is transforming the whole organization, right? That means non-software development organization, non-IT departments will have to be transformed as well, right? So the road to a successful agile transformation, not an easy one, but there are many. We are going to discuss some of these tips. There could be more tips, there, but I've just taken a few of them for our discussion today. Okay, so the first topic that I want to touch upon is the vision, strategy, and leadership involvement. Having a vision is critical for agile transformation. Like any other initiative that you run in your organization, it should start with vision, right? Vision is nothing but a future statement, or like agile and an agile technique people create a postcard from the future, which says, where are we going to be after 3 years or 5 years? That is a vision statement for our agile transformation, right? Having a vision help us in telling our people, hey, where are we heading? How this transformation is going to make us different, right? How this transformation is going to solve our problems as well as our customers' problems. What is our current business context, and what is our future context, right? So it has to start from a vision statement, and vision statement will help aligning that from the top to the team level, everybody in the organization to a common goal. It brings a common understanding across the organization on agile transformation. Otherwise, I've seen many experience where you go and talk to people. Oh, the agile COE or the agile center of excellence, they know agile transformation, but for others it's just a way of working, or software development is changing. They don't know where the organization is heading. That means the vision is not available, or vision is not communicated across the organization. I'll take an example of one of my past experience where a CIO was driving agile transformation. Right? When he took charge, his first priority was, okay, we need to move into agile. So since it was starting from a CIO level, it was very easy for agile transformation in that organization, right? Because for all the questions are going to be asked by CIO, and he's going to see how we are improving, what percentage of projects or initiatives are run in agile. He's going to personally see all those things. That made a lot of difference in agile transformation. Another example where senior leadership said, oh, we need to move to agile, let's start with agile. It ran for a couple of years. That senior leader who took this initiative left the organization. New person came in. The whole agile transformation lost its energy and focus. Right. So having a leadership, especially at the CXO level, to drive, to sponsor this is critical for agile transformation. Right. The organization, it should be driven. It should not be a leader dependent. A person moving at the senior level should not harm the agile transformation progress. Right. So this is very important. So having a vision, attaching the agile transformation to your organizational strategy, getting a senior leader to sponsor it, to look at it, to drive this is critical for agile transformation. Second is, agile transformation has to create a cultural change in the organization, right? The pre-existing ways of working will have to change from the leadership to the team level. People should be able to try out new things. Innovation has a new language in the organization. People should be able to try out new things. Failing fast is accepted, right? It is, you showing a red or showing a failure is no more a questionable thing in an organization. Failure is treated as an opportunity for growth, opportunity for improvement. The leaders should exemplify the core values, the practices. People are now looking at a more collaborating way, more shared way of working. The whole culture in an organization is more of performance oriented. How you evaluate your people, how you evaluate your initiatives, projects, product development. It's all performance oriented, and high collaboration among people. Couple of examples here. One of my the places that I work with, Agile Transformation, we had a VP, not very fond of Agile. He always used to go around and say Agile is fragile. Do you think Agile Transformation is going to be Agile Transformation is going to be that easy in that organization? May not be, because the vice president himself is saying Agile is fragile. He himself has not committed to the vision or the idea of Agile Transformation. I've seen other places where people say, oh, you're doing Agile, but I'm seeing all my team members always in a meeting room, right? They don't appreciate the fact of your daily stand-ups or your reviews or your refinement meetings and so on, right? If they think that this is more of meetings and discussions, it's going to be difficult for you, right? So you need a cultural change where leaders should understand they are started practicing those values, those principles, and then it's easy to bring it down to the team level, right? Going from a team level to the leadership level and transform the organization is going to be very difficult. Many organizations, that's what happening. They start converting the teams into a Scrum or a Kanban way of working, and they think, oh, now we've changed. We do one project, 10 projects, 100 projects. We change the organization. It may not work that way. It should be top driven, right? It should be top down. All people at all levels will have to buy in to the idea of agile transformation. And you should, when you get into such an organization, you should see people looking at, continuous improvement, continuous learning, right? You hold that, the new environment or atmosphere you can see in such organizations. So agile should create a cultural change. So you should bring in those cultural changes. Leaders should stop what they were doing earlier. They should, bring this new way of working in their day-to-day life. The next one is agile transformation takes time. It is not that overnight I'll become agile or my organizational is going to be agile. It may not work. It typically takes 3 to 5 years. That's what industry experts say, is 3 to 5 years for an agile transformation to work. And you should have a very thorough planning. You should have a team to drive this. You should have leadership to review the progress, right? When you plan it, you should plan it like you plan for a product roadmap in agile execution. You should plan for a transformation roadmap which touches on, from a business perspective, what are the different things we're going to do? A roadmap with milestones. From a people perspective, what are we going to do? The organizational structure, the process repositories, process references, the investment we are going to make on infrastructure, tools, support systems, automation, deployment pipelines, the kind of training that we're going to give to business development teams and leadership, right? These are maybe this is not an exhaustive list, but all these areas you should have a milestone-based plan in your roadmap with short-term and long-term, achievements. And this should be continuously reviewed by the senior leadership, by the sponsors. It takes time. Many examples in the organization. We ask organizations, especially this happens for service industries. The agile transformation stops at the software development. You'll see everybody moving into, Scrum or Kanban or extreme programming. Projects are all running, or could be safe or less the scaled agile, frameworks. But transformation should be even beyond that, right? It should not just stop at a project level, at a software development level. And irrespective of people moving out of the organization or people coming into an organization, the roadmap should stay as is. I'm saying, we should continuously look at the roadmap, make changes to it, but that has to be looked at by everyone in the organization. Should frequently communicate how the progress, what the progress made, what is happening, what is not happening, the wins and losers, right? Keep communicating with the organization, how we are performing, how things are happening in the organization, right? And keep publishing. The communication across the organization is very important for the success of Agile. Agile transformation should be a business need. Many times we see, especially people working in a product organization, right? We have seen they get frustrated because Agile cannot penetrate to the business. Our projects are all running fine in Agile, but I don't get a product owner. I don't get stakeholders for my reviews. I don't get my stakeholders for a refinement, for an evaluation. I am not able to do an iterative delivery. My release still takes 6 months or 4 months. All this is because Agile transformation is not driven by business. Many times I've seen is this transformation start at the software development arm of a product organization. It should be the other way. Agile transformation should start at the business, because the beneficiaries of Agile transformation is more the business teams. The faster value, able to give feedback to the development team, cutting down the cost of change, getting the value of features faster. These are all business benefits, not development for software development teams. This should start from business, should be driven by business. They should understand why we are doing this transformation. If they understand, it is going to be easy to get a product owner. Many organizations say, oh, we don't get a product owner and we run this software development or this initiative with an ISIT product owner, which is wrong, right? ISIT person cannot be a product owner. He's not going to use the product. He's not going to fund the product. So for getting a product owner from business, that's an ideal situation. You need to start your transformation from business. You should involve them. Another example I have, we have trained 100% of our software development people on Agile and Scrum and Kanban. But if you're finding it difficult, yeah, we are 100%. So what? The business is still, illiterate on Agile. So even your training activities should start with business. You should train them first. You should make them understand what is Agile, how Agile is going to help you. Then comes to software development. That should be the way. If they understand the importance of Agile transformation, I'm very sure it's going to be easy for you to get a product owner. It's for easy to get people, stakeholders for your sprint reviews. It's easy for you to make early releases. It's easy for you to get a person to give feedback throughout your sprint or your iteration. And funding and investment decisions will have to change based, for Agile, right? Typically, you do all requirement documentation, then, you decide the fund, then you do an execution in Agile, it has no meaning. Your funding, your investment decisions will have to change. They should be able to continuously look at, maybe once you funding has to be based on the value. They should be able to stop this funding once this value is achieved. Your investment decision may change. I try out something, my MVP, I'm not happy with it. You should be able to stop it. Right? The funding investment decisions will have to, change in an Agile situation. And earlier, the business teams were enjoying a lot of control on this project, on this product development. They wanted predictability. I want, this release to happen on September 30th or, October 15th. Now they should be able to give away those control and predictability to get faster business value, maybe better productivity gains, better, improved, cost of making a change, improved, feedback for a product. So they may need to lose some of these earlier, existing controls to get something else back. So role of a business is key, is very important when it comes to Agile transformation. Doing steps does not guarantee you the results. Agile transformation is not just iterative development. Following any framework, Scrum or Kanban, or that is not just Agile transformation. It's maybe just part of it. It may be the initial stage of it. But many organizations, we tend to focus a lot on the framework. We tend to be very strict on how you do planning, how you do stand up and retrospection and reviews and so on. We get overly focused with our framework. We remember Agile is an umbrella concept, and these are all frameworks just comes below that. It's just one way. You should look at, is doing this is going to help you in Agile transformation. So following or not following a framework is not Agile transformation. And once we get too much rigid on the framework, right, we may lose the whole vision of Agile transformation. We get ourselves constrained into the framework that we use. Right? There are many examples. I've seen organizations say, "Oh, we have done Agile transformation. All our projects are running Agile." Fine, all the projects are perfectly running in Scrum or Kanban on any of those frameworks, but the recruitment happens in the suite, their own way. You wait for months to get a Scrum Master or an Agile coach or a developer. I've seen examples where Agile transformation is successful. All our teams are working fine, but to get a development environment, you need to put a request and wait for 6 weeks. Right? Your infrastructure is still, a bottleneck for you. You don't have your DevOps is not ready. You don't have your regression test suite ready, but you still say, we are all 100% projects are running in Agile framework. Right? So we reduce our scope maybe sometime just towards some of these frameworks, and we don't see the big picture of what is Agile transformation, what is the vision for us, what's the goal for us. Moving on to the next topic, which is especially valid when you work with a customer and service organization, supplier customer kind of relationship, or when you have this your organization in North America, but you're a captive, you have an internal contract or a proposal between these two entities, where you work with the contracts. I think this may be more applicable, right? We need to relook at how the contractings are done or made. I've seen one experience I'll share you. 100% agile organization. How do they do it? It's a customer supplier kind of a relationship. They do a very detailed discovery phase at the beginning. All requirements are clear. Now they say, oh, we do incremental iterative delivery, and say we are 100% agile, right? Because they want to look at a fixed bid contract. So we are used to this fixed price, fixed scope, or at the other end, time and material kind of contracts. We are more used to this. I think to become more agile, or to support this agility or agile transformation that we are looking for, we need to relook at, or we need to model our contracts in an agile way. That means you need to give a mutually economically beneficial system, or obligations or constructs in your contract, which is benefiting both the people. It should be more trust based. The supplier and the customer working in a trust based situation, more transparent. The contract should benefit both the parties. There should be mechanisms to address the scope variability in your contracts. And there should be specific guidelines on investment, which will support the supplier. For example, you can't suddenly stop funding, right? There should be guidelines in the contracts, so that you get, maybe you get an advance notice, or you get a fee if you stop this contract early, right? So the contract construct should be made in such a way so that the supplier is not at a loss, right? And same with the customers. And both sides should understand investment will vary in an agile contract. It is not that I'm going to spend $500,000, in the next 1 year for this. No, it will vary. And people should understand investment will stop when business value is achieved, right? I'm not guaranteeing that $500,000 to be spent. Maybe I've achieved my value in 6 months. I'm going to stop this project, this initiative. There should be items in the contract, conditions in the contract, which will help both these parties. There has to be specific call out of what is the supplier's responsibility, what is the customer's responsibility. Maybe both of these guys together work together to understand, to define the mission of this initiative, right? They should define and document the contract obligations at a high level. Look at the feasibility, look at what kind of requirement competence we need, resource competence we need, right? Create an initial vision roadmap. Maybe identify an MVP, minimum viable product. Work, and once you have that clarity, give that minimum viable product, create a contract just for that minimum viable product, and run it. It could be a release-based contracts or a MVP-based contract. Those are some of the options that you can look at it, right? And this should have gains value for supporting value for short-term and long-term value for both the supplier and the customer. The last point is, how do you measure your transformation? It is very important for us, whatever we do, right? Agile or not agile, agile transformation or something else, we need to measure it, because measuring helps you to manage. Measuring helps you to improve. Measuring helps you to know where you are in the game, right? So it's important that we have started with saying we should have a roadmap, and the last point is we should have a measurement of where we are in the game. So typically, another conflict that happens in some of the organizations that I've seen is you have a very clear governance mechanism, you have a clear metrics defined on productivity, on a lot of things, quality, productivity, time, cost, which was applied maybe for many projects in the past, and you successfully projects are reporting red, amber, green, and all those kind of colors. Now, when it comes to agile, your some of those existing governance mechanisms may not work. You need to relook at, hey, how do we change our governance, or how do we configure our tools to suit the agile kind of way? Otherwise, if the leadership is still looking at the old one, they will still ask you, hey, what is the utilization? Is it 100% or 95%? You look at utilization, productivity, and so on. The traditional KPIs, right? So the existing checks and balances that is used in an organization may need to leave way, or may need to get reconfigured in an agile way. Otherwise, I've seen in organizations where there are conflicts. Senior leaders are not used to agile. They say, no, show me the utilization, show me the productivity. First sprint onwards, they want to see productivity. I've seen organizations where what people do, teams velocity, they add it together. This is a unit level velocity, organization level velocity. So interesting. But what is it? Right? Velocity is something for a team to improve their work. It is not something to be rolled up and reported at a higher level. Or a cycle time. It's for the team to look at, what's the cycle time, not for, this team is doing 3 days a week, this team doing, cycle time is 5, this is 2, 5 plus 3 plus 2 divided by 3, this is an organization level cycle time. No, it has no meaning. So we need to relook at our current mechanism and make it aligned to an agile way. I've just taken 2 sets here as an example. There could be one set of KPIs or measurement which are inward looking. For example, your behavior of your team. What's the change that you've seen with your respective team, the team health? Are they collaborating? Are they self-managing? Are they still driven by those managers and people? Are they able to take a plan work for themselves and take a work on themselves? Right? The size of the team, how they're collaborating, how the working agreement is made, how they're following the working agreement. A set of topics to be looked at from a team behavior. From a cultural perspective, from leadership to the team level, what are the specific things that you see across the organization? The self-management, collaboration, communication, and so on. Health of a product, the kind of changes you're getting, the kind of involvement from the collaboration from business and development teams, your strength of your backlog, the time to market, all those product related activities. And the last one could be, what progress have you made in your engineering capability, your continuous integration, your testing, your defect management, your code quality, and continuous deployment, and so on, right? Kind of investment and progress you made in engineering capability. These could be a suggested or a recommended set of inward looking areas. The other also, you can have an outcome based measurements. For example, business satisfaction. After moving into agile, how satisfied are your customers? What kind of customer complaints, product and support issues and complaints are you getting? How engaged and satisfied are your employees? What is the skill level of your people? What is you take a reference line when you started and see, are people getting cross trained? Are they able to do are they multi-skilled now? What percentage of people can do multiple things today? Right? Agile transformation will force you to do multiple things. We could measure that. Operational performance, right? Improvement in quality, improvement in time to market, predictability, lead time. Once a customer business gives a need, how fast you're able to complete it. Then, of course, your financial performance, which is your business value, your ability to reduce cost, ability to reduce a change, budget for change, and so on, right? Your performance from a financial perspective, right? So these are some recommendations that you can use to measure your progress of your agile transformation. Okay. Yeah. Just to summarize, agile transformation is not implementing, or a set of frameworks or a tool or investment in a set of people or infrastructure. It is more than that. It is changing the organization, the way of working for an organization. It is changing an organization to be more customer centric. So that is where agile transformation should focus on. It should focus on the entire organization. It should extend beyond software development, beyond product development. The goal of agile transformation is to give a new life to the organization to be successful in the digital age or the disruptive market today we are in. It should be able to create an environment in the organization where people get time to do innovation. People are more creative. People are learning on new skills, new topics. People are empowered, right? People are more, leadership is listening to the people, right? They're able to take decisions on their own. And the end result is not just a fast software getting deployed. End result could be much more than that. Could be cross-functional teams, self-managed teams, business and software development teams collaborating. You're able to, do better time to market and so on, right? It could be far-reaching results of doing an agile transformation, right? With that, I'll stop and I'll take questions if there are any. Thank you.
Yes, Daniel. I'll be reading out the questions for you.
Sure.
We have a couple of questions from
Sure.
Nupur. I'll read out. Is agile transformation is only for a large enterprise? Should a startup bother about it?
Good. Thanks for the question, Nupur. It is easy for a startup to do agile transformation, right? It is applicable for everybody, but it is easy for a startup to do agile transformation because they are small. The primary thing, as I mentioned in agile transformation, is creating networks, right? So in a startup where you have maybe 50 people at the beginning or 100 people, it's easy to create such networks where the networks should be focused on a customer. But when it comes to a larger organization, it is a challenge because my organization is like running for last 40 years. I've created a lot of functions which are silos. Communicating across these silos, across these functions is going to be very difficult. So for a traditional organizations which are running for many years, it's going to be difficult to implement an agile transformation. A startup, it's required, but it is going to be easy for a startup organization. Hope I have helped you answering that question.
Yes. And one more question. I heard a couple of times Agile does not need leadership. How true is it according to you?
Requires leadership. Maybe the style of the leadership is changed, right? You need a lean agile leadership when it comes to agile. So the term leadership still stays, but it's more the attributes of the leadership changes. For example, someone who is looking at the core values of agile, somebody who is practicing those agile, somebody who's a servant leader, right? I think we use that term a lot. Not this bureaucratic or pathological kind of a leadership, but it's more of performance-oriented leadership, more of servant leadership, enabling the team members, helping the team members learn. He himself is learning, or he or she himself is learning and looking at improvements, and that makes the team to follow his steps, right? That kind of a leadership is required in Agile. But what we say is the typical project management kind of a leadership where he plans it, he allocates work to his people. We don't need such kind of a leadership attributes when it comes to Agile.
Sure, sure. And one more question. What
Sure.
skills do we need to begin with Agile transformation?
Yeah. Agile transformation, as I mentioned, the path of Agile transformation is not an easy one, right? An organization should not jump into an Agile transformation. Based on the size of an organization, where it's a startup or a traditional, one with maybe 100,000 people, you need to prepare for your transition. For example, do you have skilled people to do this? Do you have the required infrastructure to do this? Do you have the required people who can mentor and coach and lead these transition, right? So when you in your roadmap, any organization interested in agile transformation should first create a roadmap, and this roadmap should start with, do you have the people to do it? Or if you don't have, what kind of recruitment I make, what kind of investment I make in getting those people? Do I have the necessary infrastructure? If not, what is my plan to gradually invest on my infrastructure, process, structure, and take up business, take up each one of these areas and see where you are, where do you want to be, can you make these investments, create a roadmap, create a plan, and then go from that. And it's a gradual process. Overnight, in a month's time, in a year, nobody, no organization can be completely an agile organization.
Yes. And one more question: what will we do to educate the team, especially in a startup?
Yeah. Um, as I said, it's easy in a startup. For example, less number of people, highly communication, high network. Focus on customer should be the critical thing, right? You should never take your eye off your customers. So all your networks internally should focus on your customers, right? And whatever investment you make, that means from an organization level, your organization will have certain strategies. Okay, these are my strategy for my organization. If you can connect that organizational strategy to your agile transformation activities, to your product development, you will be successful. I, just doing agile transformation, your strategies of organization is something else. If both are not connected, you may get into problems, right? Why are you doing this agile transformation? Why are you going to work in agile? Because that is going to help your strategy of maybe penetrating into the market, or getting new customers, or better margins, better automation, cost reduction, right? So on, right? Connect those strategies with your agile transformation. That will help you.
Sure, sure. And one more question from Prashant Gulwadi. We rarely see discussion on evidence-based management in depth. What could be the reason for the same? Example, demonstrating the outcome of implementing Agile in a value stream. Interested to know about data points beyond lead time. What were the baseline values and how did it improve gradually?
Yeah, I think great question, Prashant. Um, Many organizations, they as I mentioned, they still focus on the execution level metrics, right? But we should look at, from an organization strategy, the funding, how my funding this year. Typically people look at annual planning, that, right? Any agile organization, finally when it comes to an February, March, April, they still go back to their old annual planning mechanism, right? The fund allocation should be in an agile way, and I should have evidence saying, okay, this year this is my fund allocation. What is the benefit that I got? What is the difference I made by moving from an annual budgeting to a initiative based budgeting, or an agile way of funding, right? What is an outcome? And another problem that I've seen is, okay, you put a fund, you work in agile, you don't get to know what happens to that outcome. You deploy a product, you don't get the from the production or from the business, you don't get feedback on what improvement that the product has made in production or with the users. Is it how able is that product in reducing the cost, or improving the productivity of a end user? Right? I think we should agile should connect end to end, from a strategy point, from a funding point, to the development and to the business user usage, and see what kind of features are being used, how those features are helping, right? That many a times we don't get that feedback from business. Once you deploy the product, people forget it. People take up the next initiative, right? So if we have such evidence, from strategy to development to the usage, that will help you. Those data points will help you more. And some of our organization, my current organization, we have started that. We started tracking the feedback in live mechanism, right? The usage of those features, right? Which features are used or more used or less used, and what kind of investment are we making in making changes to those products? Earlier we had this is a standard percentage of cost of change for an application, and now after moving into agile, what percentages of that is are we investing? Is it more or less? What satisfaction you have from your end users, right? All those data points we have started tracking, and we're seeing a huge difference when it comes to agile versus the traditional ways of working.
Yeah, all right. We have one more question from
Sure.
Sri Nagesh. He asks, how are OKRs are being measured by teams at all level, like team level and portfolio level? Kindly share some examples.
Yeah, sure. Team level, we know the typical, or you can look at the velocity, cycle time, your quality, and all those kind of standard team level metrics. But my organization, our organization, the agile teams, we strictly says us never, roll it up to an organization at a next level, at a unit, we do, at a portfolio level or at a scaled or your program level. You need to have a different kind of thing. How those quality, of course, quality cannot be left at the team level. It should be even looked at a higher level. What kind of quality you're getting, what kind of productivity you have the teams, right? At a high level teams, how much are they able to do at a high level. I think these are some, and quality, the productivity gains, the satisfaction of your business users. For example, we I think people who are working in scaled agile, we know we have something called a business value, right? We have even implemented those business value for our Scrum teams. Started measuring how your end customers are happy, right, through a business value, not just by a CSAT survey, but by using a business value mechanism. So after every release, we take a satisfaction based on the feature specific rating, to see how satisfied they are. These are some suggestions, Dr. Sri Nagesh.
Yes, yes. And one more question, is measuring success of transformation different for a startup and a large organization?
Yeah, we have touched upon it earlier, I think, but it's, as I said, easy for a startup to transform compared to large one, because large one is already hierarchical based, very strict hierarchies, the departments, functions. You have specifically written down rules for communicating across functions, or racy metrics and roles, responsibilities clearly defined. It's going to be difficult in such a situation. Whereas when it comes to a startup, you don't have such hierarchies. It's more of a network kind of an organization at the startup. It's going to be very easy for a startup to get into an agile transformation compared to a traditional one. Traditional one, you need to spend more time and effort and money to get into a transformation situation.
Sure. And one more question by Sri
Sure.
Nagesh. Can BDD, TDD, XP, and DevOps change culture of agile teams? Kindly
Yes.
share some examples.
Sure. No, these will change culture, not just agile teams, even teams working in in a non-agile fashion. Also, this extreme programming principles like TDD, BDD, and DevOps and pair programming, peer reviews. I think all of or refactoring. This is going to help any software development teams, not just agile teams, even for the traditional teams, right? But here, why we are doing BDD, TDD, and extreme programming practices? The focus is on quality. Today's world, I think all of us are familiar with what is happening to the income tax application. Where I think it was there in the recent news. I don't want to mention any name there, but it all goes back to the quality that our teams are building. From the newspaper, whatever we're doing, it's forget about your TDD, BDD, and UAT, ST, and all those kind of things. Even basic testing looks like it's not properly done, right? I mean, that is the situation we are discussing. So all these BDD, TDD, and extreme programming practices like pair programming or peer reviews and all those kind of things, they're all focusing on one thing, which is built-in quality. You have agile or non-agile, you can't compromise on the quality, right? That is critical. If moving into agile, that is not an excuse for going down on quality, right? It should improve quality by. So my point is, all these TDDs, we don't use BDD much, but TDD and extreme programming practices, I think we use continuously. That has helped us in bringing more attention to on the people or towards quality. Even customers are happy that we are spending some extra time in doing these practices.
Yeah, sure.
Hope,
And we
Doctor,
are,
I have kind of answered to some extent. Yeah.
yeah, and we are right on time, Daniel. And thank you for this wonderful session.